10. The chair will now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Judge Gohmert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank each of the witnesses for being here. I want to go to the comment about the smidgen, but before that, just a comment. I'm going to go back as I used to as a judge and Chief Justice and look at exactly what was said in the record, but I think I heard a very amusing answer, Professor Tiefer, when, if I understood correctly, you said that we couldn't assess the investigation, but it's doing a good job. But I'll go back and see exactly what you said. I'm not asking for comment. But let's go back to what the President said about there not being a smidgen of evidence. Now, if someone has influence over an investigator and tells the world where the investigator can hear that as your boss, I'm saying I don't see a smidgen of evidence, then if that person were an attorney, hypothetically, say this was an attorney, then that would be a potential breach of ethics. And in fact, as a judge, I have called lawyers in and warned them, one more comment, and you're going to jail for contempt of court for breaching our canon of ethics and commenting on an ongoing case about the evidence. There is no such citation available for a president, but hypothetically, I think we've got to give this president a pass because, you know, to really be culpable in making a statement like that, you'd have to be a lawyer, you'd have to be, you know, gosh, a professor of constitutional law maybe to know the complexities of that kind of comment, and so we got to give this president a pass. But Professor Rotunda, you were talking earlier about how tough it is for the Department of Justice that's currently defending the IRS to do a criminal investigation, and that triggered in my mind a line of questions that I think needs to be followed up. If you are defending a person or an entity in court, the communications between you as the Attorney General and the client, the defendant, the IRS in this case, they're privileged, aren't they?
Yes.
And they have to be privileged in order for you to do a decent job as their attorney.
Yes.
And they have to know, the client does, in this case the IRS, that anything they say to their own attorney will be used to help them and will not ever be used to prosecute them. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's the theory.
Well, I hadn't really thought about it till you brought this up, but it seems to bring to the forefront just how critical it is that there be an independent look at what the Department of Justice and the IRS has done. There is a relationship established when DOJ represents the IRS in matters that is an absolute conflict. Would you elaborate?
Yes, that is they get information from the IRS officials that they're defending. They're deciding whether or not to approve a $50,000 settlement or whether or not to slow walk discovery. And then they discover things that look bad. Usually that's why you settle a case. But the IRS, the DOJ is not supposed to release that information to other DOJ attorneys because of the privilege. I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't tell the client, the IRS, you can be candid with me because this is all protected by the privilege, and then say I'm going to use the information against you. Of course, if they don't use the information against them, they're not doing their job as a prosecutor.
Well, Mr. Sekelo, let me ask, my time I see is running out, the light turned yellow, but with regard to John Mitchell, he went to prison.
Yes.
Let's say hypothetically John Mitchell and Richard Nixon decide, you know what, if we don't appoint a special counsel, nobody can touch us. Wouldn't that have been true?
I think that's right.
Mr. Sekelo, your thoughts?
Sure. I mean, I agree with Professor Rotunda on that. I think that the need for a special counsel becomes evident when the Department of Justice has been compromised. It's in a call of the Attorney General, but when the Department of Justice is compromised, you put in a special counsel to restore trust.
So historically speaking, you could learn the lesson of Richard Nixon.
think.
Don't appoint a special counsel, and nobody in the administration goes to jail. Thank you. I yield back.
The gentleman from Texas yields back. The chair.